Hello, everybody. It's Lord Magicus. Did you miss me? It's been a crazy week here. Alright, hold on. I'm in the middle of trying to get my deck list, but Mana Trader's being slow. But that's okay. Because we've got a little bit to talk about before we start our stream. We are playing Legacy Fishes today. That is the plan. Yeah, I did have to take some stream time off. And then, yeah, we played Modern last week, I think, but I wasn't terribly impressed. But now, we're back to Legacy, and Legacy is where I feel really good about our deck. And we've got some hope on the horizon for both Modern, Legacy, and like even Historic and Pioneer. Like it's all coming together. We've got our new fish friend, the Valdalian Hex Mage. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Or Hex Catcher, sorry. Can't even get it right yet. It's already on Scryfall, that's good. Sure. Alright. Give everybody a second to get caught up here. Oh, okay. Excellent. We've got our deck coming in. Me. Oh, they gave me islands. Usually I just don't tell them to bother with the islands, but whatever, they gave them to me. It doesn't really matter too much. Get our deck going here. I'm not as burned as I was before, but like my knees and my feet still itch like crazy because of the ridiculous sunburn I have. It's yeah, if you're ginger, don't go out in the sun. That's just a mistake. The sun is not your friend. Okay. Let's add our deck here, and then we'll talk about Hex Catcher before we start this, because I think it's going to be of interest to everybody. There we go. Whoops. There, you can see this is what we're going to play today, and we will talk about this in a minute, but let me pull up Hex Catcher, and we'll have a short talk about that before we go too far down this rabbit hole. We have a framed desktop for this purpose. Actually, hold on one second. Let me move this. Right. And now, there we go, Hex Catcher. So yeah, this is our new spoiler card. It's very, very useful, and it's going to be played in basically every Merfolk deck in every format, I think. This card is fantastic, and I'm super happy with it. Everybody was, like, freaking out about it. Well, I mean, we'll start from the top and work our way down, I guess. The mana cost here is huge. The fact that it can be cast for a colorless and a blue means that our mana base has a lot of pressure eased on it. Most of our creatures tend to be blue-blue, so the blue count usually has to be very high to accommodate that on turn 2. But this is definitely going to help along with like Silvergill Adept, where if we're playing like Mutavault or Wasteland in our deck, now we have a lot more keepable hands because of that. So, and it's even on like turn 4, if you have like Island, Mutavault, now you can still play, 2 creatures on turn 4 a lot easier because you're not stuck with like 2 Lord of Atlantis in your hand. You can play like this plus a Lord, and yeah, that one colorless is very, very important. Like making use of our brown mana is like very relevant, and I honestly did not think we were gonna get that. So that's a good start here. Our typing, it is a Merfolk Wizard, so this is, I believe, the only Lord we have that we play now that actually has a secondary type here. A Wizard might come up in the future. Maybe there's a point where we want to play Cavern of Souls on Wizard because we have like Vendilion Clique or something like Nimble Obstructionist in the list. It doesn't happen very often, but there might be scenarios where we want to consider such things. So, having, wizard typing is relevant because most of the creatures outside of the lords and Svelun herself, a lot of them are wizards. So kind of like the same way where we have rogues here in Legacy with our True-Name Nemesis and like even Brazen Borrower. actually even Glasspool Mimic itself is a rogue. Like, sometimes you want to put Cavern on Rogue for various reasons. Well, there might be scenarios where, Cavern on Wizard might make sense. So it does get a benefit from that. So that's helpful. Flash. Flash is very, very helpful because now alongside Trickster, we have a lot more stuff we can do at Flash speed. Means we can pass the turn without putting anything on the board. We don't have to let our opponent cast spells in our turn. So they don't get to use their mana to blow up our creatures on our turn. So now they have to choose between committing stuff to the board, like do they want to tap out for Stoneforge Mystic on their turn, or do they want to again hold up like Pyroblast or something, or like Lightning Bolt or whatever. Flash really helps. It's also very good if you don't have like Aether Vial, because then you don't have to commit it until the end of your opponent's turn, so you don't get got by sweepers like say Supreme Verdict. It gives you more stuff you can flash in at instant speed without having Aether Vial. And even with Aether Vial, it's good because you might be holding a hand of like Hex Catcher plus, maybe a Lord and then a Merfolk Trickster. Well, now you have a bunch of options because you could like Vial in one creature and still flash in the other, but you get more choices as to based on what your opponent's doing. Do I want 2 Lords to play this turn? Do I want Trickster plus this card, or do I want like Trickster plus the Island Walk Lord? So it being Flash also helps with Counterspell in particular. If you're going to play that, especially in Modern, well, now it's again, it's less of a signal if you're passing with 2 blue up. Maybe you have Hex Catcher, maybe you have Trickster, maybe you have Counterspell, maybe you have Petty Theft and Brazen Borrower. It is amazingly helpful because you definitely might have, like, again, you might have a lot of Flash interaction. It's even possible that because of this, we could see Brineborn Cutthroat actually be a card. Can I find this quick? Yeah, I'll pull up Cutthroat so we can read this card. Hold on, let me fucking find it. Right. Because this is a card that, a lot of people have wanted to play for a long time. We really didn't have the density of interaction for this. There we go. There we go. So, yeah, now we have a lot more. So we have Trickster and the Cutthroats, and now also a Flash Lord. So there's a very good possibility, like, a Merfolk Flash kind of list could exist along with this now. Because we have, at least 12 Flash Merfolks, and you can play stuff like Lightning Bolts or Brazen Borrowers alongside it very easily. So that is something to consider. Like, this card could become more playable in a build like that. This Flash opens up a lot of possibilities for our deck, and and not just in construction but also for like sequencing too. So all right, so it is also a Lord, so that's also important. So now again, Mono Blue now has like a bajillion Lords. You could play literally like all Lords if you want to. I don't recommend it, but like, it's possible, like, you could go up to, like, 12 2-mana Lords in just Mono Blue. And, like, if you're going to play Simic, like, very helpful for Pioneer now, because now you have two Lords for Pioneer. You have this and Merfolk Mistbinder, and then you can still play, like, Collected Company with them. So, Merfolk and Pioneer is now a real deck because this is a Lord here that we just got, so that's going to be helpful. I'll get to the... I'll talk about Mihall in a second. It is a commander card. And then, yeah, the most significant thing, sacrifice a Merfolk, counter a non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1. This is like the shining beauty of this card. So it's basically like a force spike for non-creature spells, but it also you can throw away as many creatures on board as you need to counter an important spell. The biggest thing is it lets you play so that your opponent does not get to just resolve spells on curve. So if they tap out for like Teferi Time Raveler, for instance, you can respond by flashing in a Hex Catcher and sacrificing your weakest Merfolk to counter their Teferi on turn 3. And same thing with like a lot of other stuff. Like in this format, you might want to counter like Days Undoing, for instance. That's going to be a huge spell. Or like, a Narset or something like that. There is a lot of important stuff that being able to throw away your board for interaction is very relevant. In Modern, this card absolutely just slam dunks against Living End. It's good against Cascade in general because they can't just like tap out in turn 3 and try to Cascade into like I could never. I always want to say like Crash of Rhinos, but it's not that one. That's the card it's based on. Footfalls, right? Yeah. It's yeah. They go to Cascade for their Rhinos, or like they go to Cascade for Living End, and now you just throw away one creature and you can counter it on. So they can't curve out with that, and because you can do this with Cavern of Souls or Aether Vial, a lot of the times they're not going to be able to actually counter the spell here. So this will enter play uncounterably, and your opponent's not going to be able to really do anything about it. And then, yeah, once it's in play, they can't do anything about it. Like, no, Force of Negation is not going to pay for this tax. So that's one of the cool advantages to stuff like this. Like, they're not going to, like, Mystical Dispute their way out of it. They're not going to, like, Force of Negate their way out of it. Like, the tax is a really effective way to actually counter their stuff. Because they can't use, like, 0 mana stuff for it, and you can throw as many fish as you need to in order to successfully counter the spell. And against Living End in particular, one cool trick, if you have enough stuff on the board in order to successfully like island walk them to death, you can let like if they go for the violent outburst, you can actually choose to like let the Living End Cascade trigger go on the stack. So Living End and the Cascade spells on there. Sacrifice your entire board to just counter the violent outburst. Let the Living End resolve, and it will bring back all of the creatures that you had in play, because this lets you sacrifice as many things as you want, and you can just sacrifice your entire board to the spell that doesn't matter. So they're Living End, they can get all their stuff back, but if they don't get 20 power back, they're not going to kill you. And if you have Island Walk, you will be able to kill them. So that is, most of the time, you probably just want to counter the Cascade spell, but there are going to be some times where you may want to just throw away everything so you get it all back from the Living End, and then, yeah, you just kill them with Island Walk, and there's not really much they can do about it. So it's pretty awesome. And, yeah, like I said, in this format in particular, this is extra interaction against stuff like Storm decks, where this is going to be very good against stuff like Burning Wish, where it keeps them from having the critical amounts of mana they need to, like, Burning Wish into, like, appear, or even just to get, like, their hate cards. It keeps the taxing effects are always brutal on them, and once you get this in play, like, there's basically no way they can play around it, like, because you can effectively tax however much you need, and like it's very difficult for them to amass the amount of mana through something like this that they're going to need to combo off. So it improves the combo matches a lot. Like, once you have this in play, it gets very difficult. So it's very good. The only thing that kind of sucks is that it is a 1/1, so makes us a little bit weaker to Plague Engineer. So if Plague Engineer comes back in the metagame in either Modern or Legacy, you might see us cut back on this a little bit in favor of more 2 toughness things. But to be honest, like, I think we want at least 3, probably 4 of this in our deck in pretty much every format. So it's just very, very strong overall. And then so there was one other card here that was mentioned, and it's let me find the picture of it. We'll talk about it. This is the one, right? Yeah. All right. Here we go. Emperor Mihall. Now, this card is not going to be Modern legal. Unfortunately, as cool as it is, Emperor Mihall is only going to be legal for Commander and for Legacy. And I honestly don't... It's cool, and I would definitely play it if I'm building Merfolk Commander, but it's probably not good enough for Legacy. Being 3 toughness means it's going to die to Lightning Bolt, and like Swords to Plowshares can eat it really easily. So 3 drops are just very hard to play in this format, and especially with all the Pyroblast running around. The reason True-Name gets away with it is because your opponent can't target True-Name with anything. They can't deal with it easily with their spells. But this gets dealt with very easily by the opponent's removal. If this was in Modern, I would definitely play this in Modern. Like, this card would actually be very good. Same thing, if this was in Pioneer, I would definitely play it. Sadly, it will not be. However, and I think this is going to be Historic playable, And so if you are playing Historic Merfolk, you very probably want to consider some number of these. It is a significantly better Realm Walker effect for that format. So, yeah, definitely think about that because card is really cool. I mean, you get to cast the spells off the top of the deck, but also make tokens. And making tokens, and especially with the Hex Catcher we just looked at, is very valuable for that. So probably the home that this sees the most play is going to be Historic, but unfortunately we did not get it into Modern, and that would have been the other place where we'd won it. So it's a little unfortunate. But you know what? We got Hex Catcher, and I think this is enough of a tool for us to be happy about right now. I'm certainly very stoked about this, and we will be playing with this card when it comes out, I promise. And I think this does revitalize the Modern list a lot too, because it solves a bunch of problems that Modern has. Having a Flash Lord is very good for fucking up Fury math, where they target a bunch of your creatures with the intent of doing like 1, and like 2 damage to the creatures to kill them off, where then in response to the targeting, you just flash in Hex Catcher, and now all of a sudden their Fury is not enough to kill off the creatures in play, so very helpful for that. So, you know, I'm very pleased about this. This card is really cool. I'm definitely going to be getting it, and yeah, it was a great week for Merfolk. All right, so let's see what our chat has to say here, and then we'll talk about, you know, our list for that we're gonna play, and then we'll get to it. So yeah, that Force Pike, yeah, I like that. Of course, Contra is always here for the 5-0. So the year is 2023. I'm at Worlds. It's me, Mono Blue Merfolk versus the Mirror. Out of nowhere, you play Mind Singer to steal the opponent's Hex Catcher to get lethal. Okay, you know what? We'll look at this one quickly. I don't expect that this card is gonna see like a whole lot of play, but I know that like Merfolk players like to dream, so you know what? We'll pull it up here quick. Here we go. Excellent. There we. So this is the one he's talking about. So yeah, it's a 2/2 for 3, and it has kicker in red and kicker in green. And it gets 2+1/+1 counters for each kicker. So for 5 mana, it's a 4/4, or for 7 mana, it would be a 6/6. And when it enters the battlefield, you gain control of a creature with power less than its power for as long as you control this. So for 3 mana, and you can vial it in. You could just vial it in if you want to steal something with 1 power. Because this isn't enter the battlefield. It doesn't actually care whether you paid kicker costs for it or not. So that is kind of cool. But it's only going to steal things with 1 power. Or if you have a Lord in play, it can steal a 2-power thing. How it's gonna make like you only get to steal the creature as long as you control this, and with the amount of removal that's in Modern, like I don't have any expectation that this would live long enough to really matter that much. So yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit kind of weak for what we need. If it said less than or equal to, like if it could steal a 2-power creature by itself, like a Ragavan or something, then I would say it's probably worth it. But in order to steal just like a Ragavan, you have to have a Lord in play and this thing when you vial it in. So that's kind of asking a lot, or like, because spending 5 mana on this is probably unrealistic in any of the formats we would actually care about this card for. It's not impossible that maybe someday we would play this, but I think that is highly unlikely. Just, yeah, so spending 7 mana on something that dies to Fatal Push is definitely not where you want to be. So, but what do you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, you know, sometime, maybe at some point for some match we want this as like a sideboard card. It's entirely possible. So, where are we at here in the chat? Hold on. They never saw it coming. Oh yeah, the Timmy's here. Yeah, the Lords in play do make it a bit better, but I think Modern's problem is that removal is very prevalent, and so it's very hard to stick a lot of Lords in play. So, Teamer Merfolk Ramp's gonna dominate Legacy. Okay, yeah. I did play Simic, Merfolk, and Legacy while Oko was around, and to be honest, like, that wasn't bad. Like, it's definitely possible to do such a thing, but really in Legacy, Merfolk wants to be mono blue because we like to enjoy having lots of basic lands so we can live with impunity to Wasteland, whereas a lot of decks are very vulnerable to Wasteland because they don't play like any basics in them for whatever reason. So if they play any basics, it might be just one. It's like usually 0 or 1. So if you wasteland them, it's brutal. And especially when you couple that with Chalice of the Void, it can lock a lot of decks out of the game because they don't have the foresight to play enough basic lands. So, that's why our legacy deck is so good. But it also means you have to have a strong commitment to mono blue because if you're splashing for like Simic, yeah, it's gonna cost you, or any other splash. If you wanted to try, like, say, a white splash, like you want Swords to Plowshares or maybe even Stoneforge Mystic, the cost in your mana base is significant. You have to play a lot of dual lands in order to make that work, and it does make it hard because then it makes you a lot more vulnerable to opposing wastelands. Where here, you have enough basic islands where you can kind of play through a lot of wastelands, and even sometimes now with only 10, like, there will be games where you get got by this, but 10 is enough where you can reasonably play a lot of games where Wasteland doesn't hurt you that bad. So, yeah, if it was the CMC, it would be cooler. CMC, yes. If it operated on CMC, then and taking a CMC 2 or less card, I could definitely see, like, I would be very different in my opinion about the steel creature. So. But as it stands, like, I don't think that it's going to do what we want it to do. There haven't been a lot of fatal pushes in Legacy recently that we go up against. Most of the time for us here, it's going to be like Pyroblasts, Lightning Bolts, and Swords to Plowshares, because that's just where the meta's at. Yeah, and I think in Modern, like, Shadow's been struggling a little bit, but there's also, like, a lot more Solitudes and Furies in Modern, so that's not really much better. So, hey, no, Look, this is spoiler season. This is the only time we really get to, like, really have nice conversations about these cards. So, yeah, I will show you the whole sideboard here. So, it is, yeah, we need to, like, actually look at our deck list here so we can play. So, yeah, we're playing at Legacy today, and the shell that I'm playing is more or less the same shell that I've been playing, and that's been very successful, where we've gotten, like, multiple 5-0s with lists very similar to this, and Pixel Tamer ended up, like, splitting the Puget Sound Battleground tournament with a list almost identical to this, so we know that there is some serious power to this shell. And basically, the Legacy list right now operates on the principle that Cursecatcher plus Wasteland plus Chalice of the Void is a way to generate free wins against a lot of decks. You put Chalice on one, and then it hurts all, like, the cantrips like Ponders and Brainstorms and like Pyroblasts and stuff. You wasteland them, leave them stuck on one land. You have your own Cursecatcher, which you can even play through Cavern of Souls if you need to. You play, like, the Cursecatcher to help resolve the Chalice of the Void, so you don't lose to, like, days, hopefully. Or just to, like, counter spells in general, like Force of Wills and stuff. Yeah, the Cursecatcher helps this resolve and stay in play, and then, like, once you've, like, achieved Chalice in 1 against a lot of these decks, you just wasteland their mana and they're just taxed out of it. Sometimes even Tideshaper and, like, turning off the colored mana they have access to is really brutal too, because they don't, maybe if they're relying on, like, green mana because they need it for, like, Life of the Loam or something, they might not be able to use the island. So, and this also will help us get Islands Walk against a lot of the non-blue decks that we have historically struggled against. So it is, like, against Death and Taxes, for instance, Islands Walk is one of the best ways we can win that match, so having access to Tideshaper is helpful for that purpose. The sideboard is full of a lot of hate cards, and most of these are dedicated towards a lot of the artifact decks, stuff like the 8-cast deck, which is playing the Kappa Cannoneer, and it has, like, a bunch of the Thought Monitors and stuff like that in it. It also, yeah, and we have stuff like Null Rods, which are good against that deck, but also good against Storm, so that's helpful. Grafdigger's Cage is, like, our coverage against Reanimator and Dredge, and you need to have something you can do in turn 1 against those decks. It doesn't, like, you need a critical density of cards. So we have stuff like Force of Negation to bring in against it, and in addition to our Force of Wills, but like Grafdigger's Cage and like Chalice of the Void, all this stuff is really important against the combo decks, because if you don't like do something on turn 1 against them, then you are just asking for trouble. Because especially like Reanimator, they will just like thought seize you or unmask you or grief you and then just go for it. So especially having redundant pieces of hate against them is very important. Dismember helps us against the non-blue decks a bunch. Hurkyl's Recall is kind of our way where if we're on the draw against some of the artifact decks, we can play our Chalice on 0 and then Hurkyl's Recall them, bounce all their stuff, so that way when they can't just replay it because of the Chalice, so that's very helpful for that. And then Brazen Borrower, we bring this in against like some of the non-blue decks, stuff like Death and Taxes. This is really good against, because if they get Cauldron Complete, you can bounce the token with it. Or, you know, if they have the Mother of Runes out, at the very worst, you could actually bounce the equipment itself, which is better than taking 5 damage, so it is helpful for that purpose. And same thing with like Dismember. You really need this against the decks with like lots of creatures, and especially Stoneforge Mystic. We want some interaction where decks where stuff like Chalice of the Void and Force of Will might not necessarily be good is where we want to bring in some of these cards to replace those. So it's helpful for that purpose. Now, the only thing that I've changed for this week is that I've cut 1 Lord of Atlantis, and I think I cut 1 Tide Shaper so I could bring in 2 Phantasmal Image. And the one thought that I had, and I didn't really have a good chance to test this before now, we were already doing very well, but like there were a lot of times where it just seemed like if we played multiple True-Name Nemesis that we would probably win a lot easier. And especially like Death and Taxes is a good instance for this, where like if you play True-Name Nemesis, you probably win that game, and playing multiple True Names skyrockets your chance of victory against them, because they can't block it. You can block their stuff all day long with it, unless they like tap out with Mother of Runes to give it pro blue, which means they're opening themselves up to stuff like Dismember. So yeah, true. Or like even Merfolk Trickster, like being able to tap their stuff down is helpful. But also, like, yeah, then True-Name is really good on defense, really good on offense, and if you copy it with Phantasmal Image, then they can't target the image either, so it makes very strong turns against a lot of decks where if you go turn 3, you play True-Name and then Violin Phantasmal Image, it's just very difficult for those decks to deal with. And it can always be functional copies of stuff like, you know, Silvergill Adept or Merfolk Trickster later on if you need. So I figured it'd be worth testing to see if like 2 images were acceptable here. We used to play a full set of like 4 Phantasmal Image alongside True-Name Nemesis, and the reason that we stopped doing that is because Plague Engineer is a fucking card, and it dunks hard on that plan. Like, you cannot go with like 8 True-Name Nemesis against that card, because you will just lose. So for a very long time now, we've been cutting, you know, Phantasmal Image, because we obviously don't want to go all in on a card that's going to lose to Engineer. But the thing is, we have not seen a lot of Plague Engineer in the past like couple months, so maybe it's time, you know, if Plague Engineer is at a nadir, then maybe it's time to bring some images back to test it. Now, that said, in like 2 weeks from now, we are not going to be doing this anymore, because we're going to have more creatures to deal with than, you know, we know what to do. Voldalian Hex Mage or Hex Catcher is going to end up eating these slots and something else. Like, I'm not sure exactly how many, if we're going to play 3 or 4 and exactly what's going to get cut for it, but definitely like these images are going to go away and Hex Catcher is going to come in their place, and probably at least 1 more Lord or something. Maybe the Hearses, I don't know about that. Like, Hearse is this is another card that we've tried recently, because this is very helpful against the Uro decks. It's helpful against the decks playing Snapcaster Mage. Makes it very hard for them to actually get value out of Snapcaster. You know, very good against Life from the Loam decks, where it's very hard for them to get value out of their Loams. It's also very good main deck hate against stuff like Reanimator and Dredge, where if you can drag the game out just a little bit, then once you get Hearse in play, it becomes very hard for them to actually win the game. So it's even good against like Delver, because you can turn off Dragon's Rage Channeler and make it hard for them to get enough cards in their graveyard to cast Murktide Regent. So it's helpful against sweepers too. If they cast Supreme Verdict and your turn, you just like, you know, cast like a Silvergill Adept or something, and then crew up the hearse, which is probably really big, and your opponent is tapped out, so they'll take like a huge hit from this thing. So, yeah, this card I think has a lot of power to it. And oh yeah, and one other relevant thing, it can block stuff that gets protection from blue with either Sword of Fire and Ice or like Mother of Ruin. So again, even against like Death and Taxes, Hearse is still not bad because you can actually like use it to not die to their creatures attacking in. So yeah, it does a lot more things than you would think that it does, and it's a pretty good main deck hedge against a lot of those decks. So I'm not sure that I want to cut any of this even for like Hex Catcher, but that remains to be seen. So we'll have to see. But anyway, yeah, I think this is going to be a good shell for this deck. Like I said, the only thing I'm screwing around with today is Phantasmal Image, but other than that, like, the most of this deck has not changed in the last like couple months because we've found a good shell and we've stuck to it, and it's been doing very well for us. So there we go. That's what we have to say about it. So it has been long enough now. We spent about a half hour talking here, so let's go and actually get our gameplay in. All right, let's go. Phantasmal Image definitely can be a pseudo Hex Catcher, because there are going to be times where Cursecatcher is in play, and you can vial in Phantasmal Image, copy the Cursecatcher, and just sack the image to help counter a spell. So, oh, I've seen how many new fish friends we have in the Discord. Believe me. I've noticed it because like I've noticed a lot more people have subscribed to my channel on YouTube in the last few days. Yeah, it's very, very noticeable. I think this hand it's sort of okay. We have it sucks to have two Otawaras here, but you know what? I don't know. Let's see. We are on the draw. Maybe this could be a little bit slow. I think that I'm inclined to keep it, and then we'll decide whether we want this on 0 or 1. So, oh yeah, I know that we've seen a lot of people on the Discord, so we're probably putting this on 1. Drawing Aether Vial wouldn't be bad. That's actually not too bad either. Alright, we'll play Island, and I think pass. But yeah, I've definitely seen like a spike in the number of people interested in both on the Discord and even on my channel. So everybody's like rejoining the Fish Fam here because they're all about this Merfolk life. Alright, so we have some interesting choices here now. I think we actually want to play the Otawara because I don't want them to... If I play the Cavern of Souls, they're going to know we're on Merfolk, and I don't want them to. And I don't want them to know about Wasteland yet. I kind of want them to search up something first. Because then, like, next turn I can play... I could play, like, Silvergill Adept. Well, I don't know. See, okay, that's potential. I doubt that they have Wastelands in their deck, because if I had to guess, this is probably, like, the Jeskai control list. So they might be intending to play something like Narset next turn. But that also means they probably need to counter this Chalice of the Void right now. They're going to use, like, Force of Will on it, more than likely. And, yeah, and, I don't know. It's definitely, it's close. I'm not playing the Wasteland right now because I want them to walk into this for next turn. I could play the Otawara or I could play the Cavern. I guess if the thing is, if I play Otawara, then I can't, like, play Cavern to make this uncounterable and Wasteland them, so maybe I do have to actually play Cavern of Souls. Alright, so they're going to know what the deal is here. But that's okay. So we'll play the Cavern here because I really want to try to Wasteland them after they do whatever they're going to do on X equals, or for 3 mana next turn. But they might just have to, like, crack their fetches and brainstorm here before this resolves if they don't have a force in hand. They might have Teferi, that is possible, yeah. If they have Teferi, like, keeping Otawaras in hand is probably a little bit better as well, so... Oh, they let it resolve. That's gotta be good news for us. Unless they're gonna bounce it with, like, Teferi next turn, in which case I will probably just replay it and then Wasteland them. Otawara in response to Narset is definitely a thing that we care about doing. Oh, they do nothing here. That is interesting. Okay. I am very surprised by that. Well, in that case, I think I'm just going to play Silvergill Adept. They can't counter it. We will get to draw our card, and we might draw a Force. The Force could be relevant, so... Alright, I think here I do play the Wasteland, though, so... Well, I don't know, like, it's actually hard, because they might not get the non-basics here, but... that deck does have a lot of basic land, so I don't necessarily want them to know that that's my plan yet. I will hold up Wasteland for at least one more turn. I want to be able to actually blow up a land to hurt them. The fact that they haven't done anything yet is really surprising. They let Chalice resolve, and they haven't cast a single cantrip, so... Like, I would expect right now they might do something like Narset. They're going to go for basic lands, it looks like. They could have Prismatic Ending, too. Yeah, they Prismatic Ending the Chalice. I guess that's okay. The Plateau? Okay, well, we're definitely going to blow up the Plateau. I think I'm going to... No, I should probably Wasteland them first. Because they could have, like, Snapcaster Mage to flash in. Do I care about that, though? If they... Yeah, I really want to play the Silvergill here. I think that I do want to... Because I assume that they're probably going to Pyroblast this Silvergill or Swords it or something. Yes, there's Swords. Okay. Alright, and then we will play another Silvergill Adept here. They already... Yeah, they still know about Trickster, but I need to draw more cards. It's not really great. I could put this on Illusion, but that's not really where I want to be. Phantasmal Image is only really good when you're copying stuff like True-Name Nemesis, because it's going to be very vulnerable. And also, our board is, like, very vulnerable right now. Okay. I do not like this card, but there's nothing I can do about it right now. We're not in a bad spot. Like, we could just play Unlicensed Terse here and start eating stuff from the graveyard. Oh, okay. If they only have a Plains untapped, that's not too bad. Tide Shaper, I could take them off of the white mana, but I doubt that it's going to stay that way. I think that I need to play Hearse plus Tide Shaper. The only question, like, I don't think they have Wastelands here, so the only thing is, do I want to play this on Illusion or not? I'm guessing because of the amount of removal they have that this is not really a concern that we should have. So I'm going to put this on Merfolk still. I guess play the Hearse first. They're going to Force of Negate that. Okay. See if they have another Swords, because I think probably here I just, it's hard to say whether I should go after the red or the white mana. I want to say that the white mana is going to they have more removal for that, so I think we'll try. Because it also might turn off stuff like Monastery Mentor, if they have that. Nope, they had another Swords. Okay, they have one card left in their hand. They pitched a Dress Down, which is actually not too bad, because that means that if we ever draw True-Name Nemesis, that's fine. Okay. Iteration, again, I'm not happy about that, but it's going to happen, so I guess they are still looking for another land. Scalding Tarn, which they did find the land here, so... I don't think I really need to do anything right now. I'm pretty sure I'm just passing and then using Trickster. They have 3 cards. They've gone through a fair amount of removal here. 2 swords, Pyroblast, and an ending. Yep, they tick up. That makes sense. 1 card in hand. That's fucking fantastic. Alright. I think here we're going to play True-Name Nemesis. I don't think they have, like, verdicts in their main deck. Or at least not many. So, I'm willing to take a chance here because they have 1 card left. I want to put my foot on the gas before they find it. I will probably not play this image, though. I'm thinking about holding this back for the time being. I don't want to, like, super overcommit here, but I want to make sure this gets off of the board. And once this is gone, then, like, we have a pretty clear threat here to kill them, so they kind of have to do something fast. They picked Volcanic Island off of that, so they found a land, so they have 2 cards left, so we'll see. Maybe they found Verdict, it's possible. They could fetch the Scalding Tarn for a Tundra. Okay, well, yeah, if they found it, they might not be doing it until my turn, so... Oh, no, they're just casting Narset. Okay, well... That's sort of fine. Because now we can kill both of their Planeswalkers, at least. Even if they find, like, a Swords to Plowshares or something, they can kill off 1 Trickster. They have a Ponder, okay. But I can swing this at Narset, swing both of these at Teferi. I don't know what they're going to get here. Probably Iteration would be my guess. I mean, I guess they could try to, like, get removal on top. Yeah, it looks like they're going for Iteration. Sure. Alright, well, we get to clean up the board a little bit here. Oh, that's really good, too. I don't really think I want to play these just yet. Wait, or could we kill them? Like, is that possible here? This will be 5, 4, and 4. Not quite. They're gonna have Iteration mana. They're gonna get to dig 3 cards deep to try to find Verdict. But I don't know. They're gonna go to 13 from this. These are both gonna die. Pretty much anything less than Supreme Verdict, then they lose the game if I copy this True-Name here. Alright, that might be reason enough to do it, because like, even if they find removal, then it probably doesn't matter. Alright, well, I think we can take chances on that. Alright, let's see how this goes. So, like, now they're kind of in a really bad spot where they have to find something or they just lose. So they draw iteration and they get to look at, like, the top 3, and if they don't find something, the game is basically over. Alright. They do have Ponder here, so maybe they'll... Yeah, maybe they get to dig a little bit deeper, too, so... They chose to shuffle? Oh, okay, well then that can't be good news, because now that means they didn't have anything on top, so... Alright. What are you doing here? Sure, they're digging. They're in full fucking... They have to find, like, another white source, and they have to find, like, Supreme Verdict. Like, another Teferi is not good enough here. Okay, that's fine, actually. Like, what are you gonna do? Bounce one of these things? It's not gonna save you. Huh? Okay, oh, they choose not to bounce anything? What? I guess they're just figuring, yeah, they figured, like, bouncing a Trickster here doesn't really matter. They just need to... If they don't find anything, they're gonna lose anyway, so they just didn't find anything. Okay. Well, the thing is, if they bounce Trickster, we wouldn't be able to replay it, but actually it's kind of a better scenario for us, because then it makes us less vulnerable to getting got by, like, a Verdict, because now we have another creature in hand. So, honestly, our deck is pretty good against this already. Like, we don't really need to make a whole lot of changes. The only thing that maybe we consider here is, like, Phantasmal Image comes out. Because they have a lot of removal, so that can be bad. And, like, all of these are reasonable choices. Like, Chalice is definitely fine. Borrower's fine. Force of Negation is fine. I want to say that Borrower is the way to go here. Although, they definitely could have, like, Monastery Mentor, so, like, maybe Dismember is correct. It's very difficult to say. Like, Force of Negation is also not bad, because they do have stuff that, like, countering a Planeswalker is not a bad thing. I guess we'll try the Borrower, and then if that doesn't work, we'll come up with an alternate plan. In general, this matchup is very good for us, so... And I think this hand is fine. Like, it's not, like, spectacular or anything, but I think I'm definitely keeping it. We have Cavern of Souls and, like, a bunch of creatures to play with it, so that's usually good enough. It's true. The Borrower having Flash is kind of helpful, for especially for getting rid of, like, Narsets. Because if they try to cast Days Undoing, you can always, like, petty theft it back. So, alright. I don't think they have Wasteland at all, so I don't think this matters, but yeah, we can just pretty freely play this. And honestly, if they play Expressive Iteration, I am very likely countering it with Cursecatcher. Like, fuck that card. And because they've seen Wasteland now, they're going to be very, very... Are you fucking kidding me? You got the Tundra already? Okay, I guess our opponent just really wants me to Wasteland the fuck out of them, so... Normally, they're very careful about getting basic lands once they've seen Wasteland, so... I don't know what the deal is here. Okay, well, let's do this. Okay, we'll play Aether Vial. Force of Will pitching Dress Down. You're on 2 cards with, like, a plateau in play. That's absolutely fine with me. Good luck. If we draw Wasteland, this game is, like, over. Oh, God. Fuck. Come on, Wasteland. Where the fuck are you when I need you? Just end this game. Our opponent will just, like, concede on the spot if we find it. I will show them a Master of the Pearl Trident. Oh, Jesus Christ, they lose. Okay, if they don't top deck a land right now, they just lose. it's it. That's game over. Sure, I expect they have, like, red elemental blast or swords or something, but it's not gonna matter because I'm just gonna wasteland their land. Okay, they found a Scalding Tarn, so they're not, like, out of the game yet, but it's still gonna be hard because they're gonna be on one land, so. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, let's just do this first. Technically, they could float some mana here, and then I would just go into second main phase and then play my creature. So it effectively doesn't matter. We are definitely going to play this Chalice of the Void on one. Are you kidding me? I love it. The game is slipping away from them. Like, they can't... Like, they have to have drawn, like, a Ponder or something right now, or they just, again, are dead. Get basic island, so here's Brainstorm. Sure. If I had a force, I would absolutely force the Brainstorm, but sadly we don't, so... We're just going to have to play Chalice of the Void on one, and then just hope that's enough to stop them. Well, they did find another land, so that's... But they're on 2 cards. It's so hard for them right now. That's beautiful. Okay, let's attack with the Silvergill Adept first. Then we're going to play the Cursecatcher, and then we'll play the Island and the Chalice of the Void. So there's no Spell Pierce available for this. They could have, like, Flusterstorm. Or they might just, like, play a removal spell right now and just hope that's enough. Nope. Okay, they just fetched for no reason. Neat. Okay, well, we're in a pretty good position here where they're in a lot of trouble on the back foot. Oh god, that's not bad. That is bad for them. Okay, so it looks like maybe Pyroblast is a thing. No, it's not, because we have Chalice. Never mind, they're just dead. Like, nothing they do matters here. Fastest way to end this game is probably just play Master of the Pearl Trident. True-Name is always better even if they clear the board, so. But here, this will kill them in like 2 turns. They take 5 and then they just die next turn. Like, there's very little they can hope for right now. They concede. Alright, look. See how easy it was? Fantastic. That match is usually very good for us. Oh god, it is getting hot in here again. So there might be background noise from the air conditioner, but there's nothing I can do about that. I have to have it on. Fuck. It's brutal. I'm sorry, I need it because it's like already back up to like almost 80 degrees in here. There we go. Look, see, this is what I'm saying. Wasteland was ridiculously good in that match. We saw the combination of Wasteland, Chalice of the Void, and even Cursecatcher pitching in there. So that's how you have to do it. All right, well, what a good way to start off the league. Cursecatcher is not dead in this deck, and even after I get Hex Catcher, I am not going to cut Cursecatchers. Like, I will keep some number of Cursecatchers in the deck to play along with it, just because the curve of, like, Cursecatcher into Chalice of the Void is very, very strong, and the more interaction you have on your creatures, the better. Having 1-drops also makes it so that your curve is a lot stronger too. So, yeah, having more lords and more 1-drops is going to make it a lot easier to aggro out games. Like, the last time I played against Tess, like, I won game 3 because I just aggroed out the opponent. Like, ignoring, like, everything else they did, like, I think I might have played like a Chalice and Zero and then just like attacked with all my creatures. Like I played like a bunch of creatures and then just turned them sideways and just tried to race them that way, and that was enough. So, yeah, and the lower the curve is, the better a plan that is. So, definitely, Cursecatcher adds a lot of value that way. But it also, like I said, helps Chalice resolve a lot, so curves out very well in that regard. And even turns Aether Vial on 1 into a very nice gotcha as well. Oh, yeah, you know what? I posted a picture of it on Twitter, but look. The perfect mat I got today. I got my True-Name Nemesis one. It is, oops, wait. Here it is. Yeah, it was from Eternal Weekend. This was from a few years ago, so. Alright, we got a match. Alright, we're up against Silvergill Lord. Okay. Sadly, this is not the kind of Wasteland hand we can keep. We have to mulligan. This is definitely a little bit more sketchy, but I'm not sure how going to 5 is necessarily going to be better. We don't know what the opponent is on. They could be on, like, Merfolk. They could be on something else. It's hard. Like, we have 2 lords. Like, if this was Merfolk, then this is actually not good at all. Here we would be keeping, like, basically these 6 cards. I might do it, but, like, I'm probably not happy about it. Alright. Alright, we'll see what our opponent's up to. Oh, we're up against Reanimator, so you know what? This Force of Will is going to be fantastic. Okay. They're just going to try to cast Reanimate this turn, and I'm just going to pitch Lord of Atlantis to Force of Will, and that should be good enough. I just kind of have to hope that they don't, like, unmask me first. Sure, Dark Ritual. I can't stop that. No, we're not doing that. They have another one. Alright, you got it. Yeah, no, we're not going to be able to do that. Alright, so they had Reanimator on the play, like they had the double Reanimate. Alright, you know what? That's okay, because this match is still not bad for us. We have lots of interaction to bring in here. Chalice on the play is not bad. Grafdigger's Cage, we need that. And we have hearses, which are good here. Phantasmal Image actually has like a surprising amount of utility in this match too. I think Tideshaper is the cut here, so we actually ended up keeping a reasonably good 6 cards against them. They had double Reanimate spells, so there was nothing we could do about it. That's okay. Sometimes Reanimator just gets you in game 1. But we're going to have a much stronger game 2 plan, hopefully. You have lots of good interaction for this deck, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, Image is really dumb because sometimes if they put Gristlebrand in play, you can copy it. I guess we could have taken one more draw, but chances are, like, they're going to draw 14 cards and they're just going to reanimate at least 1 or 2 more creatures before we untap, so it wasn't really, like, a thing. Yeah, we're definitely keeping this. We have Hearse and Force of Negation, so they need to have 2 things. So they can't win with just 1. Our turn is we're going turn 1 Vial, turn 2 Hearse, and like that should just win the game. Hopefully, anyway. They're on a mold of 6, so like this is reasonably as good of a hand as we could possibly ask for, so. And if they try to like Thoughtseize us or something, we have to cast the Force of Negation. It's not impossible for us to lose here. They could They could have, you know, the nuts to get us. I'm definitely not letting them take my hearse. Unless they just have everything. Oh my god, they just fucking have it all. Yeah, alright, well, then there's nothing I can really do about it. If they have the reanimation spell, we are just sunk. They had literally the perfect, like, 6 here. Fuck. Alright. There's Gristlebrand. There was nothing we could do. Because the problem, like, if we let them Thought Seize us, they take the Force of Negation, they would just win anyway. So... this is, like, exactly the perfect hand on the draw. Oh, well. What are you going to do? They're going to dump a bunch of stuff here. It is, like, 98% over. It's not impossible to, like, win this game, but it is almost impossible. We would need to draw, like, exactly Phantasmal Image to copy this thing. I don't see it happening. They're targeting me. Okay, like, now it's over. Like, we can... like, I need to get the hearse in play so that way they can't, like, reanimate something else but on their next turn, so... what are you gonna do? Like... I mean, good for our opponent. Like, they just fucking had everything. But that's just how Reanimator rolls. Like, it's one of those decks where you just have to, like, kind of get lucky in mulligans, so... almost no deck is going to beat their god draws, but, like, if they also don't use... it's not very often that they get a hand like that. Most of the time, they'll be stuck, like, without one of those pieces, and then they just have nothing they can do about it. They lose to, like, some interaction. Like, you just play, like, a Grafdigger's Cage in turn 1, and a lot of times they just have to concede to it because they didn't keep anything that deals with it. It's just how a match goes. Yeah. If we lose that in our league, like, that's not something that concerns me because I think we are adequately prepared for it, so that's just kind of a matter of dice rolls at that point. Hex Catcher will definitely help a little bit because once we get to 2 mana, like, Hex Catcher makes it a lot harder for them to resolve stuff. Unlike Cursecatcher, Hex Catcher can also deal with the... this hand's actually not very good. We have a Force of Will here, but we only have 1 blue card. I actually don't like this hand. This is a little bit better, but not by very much. I'm probably going to have to keep it and just put an island in the bottom, and then not play a Cursecatcher in turn 1. Underground Sea, okay. Preordain. So, it is possible that this might be Doomsday. That's a little bit better. It would make me feel a little bit better if we had a Force. So they know about Lord of Atlantis here. True-Name is not usually the card that we want against black decks. Because black decks are the ones best equipped to deal with this, because they have, like, Edicts and also Playing Engineers. And if this is a combo game, then, like, True-Name is also not good for that reason as well. So, it's unlikely that Cursecatcher is enough to slow down Doomsday at this point, but if that's what we're up against, then we're just playing Cursecatcher, Lord, and praying. And if we draw Force, like, you know, that now all of a sudden this just being a random blue card is fine. So, we'll see. We didn't really keep a stellar hand. It's like, it's gotten a little bit better. Remains to be seen exactly what we're up against, though. There are a couple other decks this could be. Like, there is, like, a ninja deck, but I think usually they lead off in, like, turn one, like, the Changeling guy or, like, an Ornithopter or something. So, this makes me thinking more that it's a combo deck of some sort. And I think the big one, yeah, is usually Doomsday at this point for this Underground Sea. They will just win with like Thassa's Oracle. And they'll win with it off of Cavern of Souls, so there's not really much you can do about it. Now that said, Doomsday does hurt their life total a lot, so if we can hurt their life enough, we might actually be able to. If they cast Doomsday and they have to like live one turn, it is possible to kill them before they like untap. So, but they would need probably like I think they would need to do it this turn because if they do it next turn, it could be too slow. If they have like Crack Delta play Dark Ritual play Doomsday like that would probably win the game. Well, I should say not probably. Like 100% would win the game right now. But they also might be considering, do I have like a Force of Will or something they have to try to play around? So they might try to wait until, they have their own force or something to back it up. And they're just looking at this lonely Silvergill Adept and just wondering, like, are they going to be fast enough to beat it if they wait for interaction? So it's entirely possible that's what they're going through right now, trying to do some math. Lotus Petal. Okay, or this could be, or this might even be like Ad Nauseum or like Epic Storm. So they could just be going for stuff like that too. Or you know what? No, the other thing this could be Echo of Eons. All right. Nope, Dark Ritual. Okay, so I guess they were trying to play around Days, but it looks like Doomsday. Yeah, okay. I think this is over now. They played the Lotus Petal, tried to play around the Days, but I'm guessing they probably didn't have the Force of Will. And that's what was the problem. So what they really want to do here is stack their deck so that they can just get Thassa's Oracle and just win. Which they should be able to do. They can just put like a bunch of Street Wraiths on top of it, and then they put like what is it like depends. I guess it depends on whether they have or what cards they have in hand. If they have like a cantrip in hand right now, they might have like Preordain or Ponder or something to draw like Cavern of Souls, and then like cycle some Street Wraiths to get the Thassa's Oracle, play the Cavern, and then yeah, Oracle just wins. That's kind of what we figured, right? Yeah, so we were kind of on it, but no, the biggest difference between like trying to figure out which combo deck it is. Epic Storm I don't think plays like Preordains in it, and they're also playing like more red and green sources in their mana base, whereas like Doomsday is mostly just blue black. I think a bunch of them splash for Merc. They have like Murktide Regent in their lists as like a backup plan. But yeah, they play like basically all the cantrips here, and then like Dark Ritual Doomsday. So sometimes there's a lot of times where they just want to go turn one Ritual Doomsday, and that's enough for them to win the game. So you gotta kind of be careful about that. And this is one of the combo decks that does play like Force of Will to back it up as well. And I think they have Dazes in their list as too, so they have some good protection. Okay. Well, we get to see what their list looks like here. So they're Teferi Time Raveler. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, they have Teferis. So it looks like they are going to stack a bunch of... They have one Street Wraith here, so it looks like there's probably 3 in their pile. I'm going to guess. If I had to assume, I would say their pile probably looks like Street Wraith, Street Wraith, Street Wraith, like Thassa's Oracle, Cavern of Souls, or something like that. I don't see Murktide here, though, so that's interesting. Alright. Edge of Autumn, okay. Are they going to go for it right now? Is that what's happening? Oh my god, they just have it right now. Fuck. That was in their hand, so like they had it. And I guess what they would have also had to have like at least one more of these pieces in their hand. So their last card. There's 2 cards left in the deck and 3 cards in their hand. Okay. So yeah, this is just Oracle right now. Okay, you got it. This is actually really dangerous because if I had a force, like this, they could have lost to that. But I think they assumed that because I didn't force the Doomsday that I just didn't have a force. So that is very reasonable to assume. All right. There's not a whole lot we can really do. Like, we just kind of take out True-Name Nemesis and just like hope for the best. Like, we just have to have hands with like Force of Wills. Actually, you know what? I think I want that instead of the unlicensed hearse. I don't think Null Rod is, well, you know what? It is possible that this matters a little bit more because of the LEDs. Alright, because it will turn off some lines for them, so I don't know, we'll take it just in case. It does hurt our Aether Vial, but I think it turning off Lotus Petal and LED is probably a little bit more relevant. Again, they kept a good combo hand, and we did not keep a hand that could like reasonably deal with it. That is just Legacy sometimes, though. You just get got in game 1, but then there's also randomly game 1 where you just keep a Force of Will and you just win game 1 because your opponent like didn't know that you had Force. They just have to take a chance, so. What are you going to do? Alright, I would love to play first. I have Chalice and Force here. I think I'm going to keep it. Do I play it on 0 or 1? That's a good question. I'm going to say that I probably want to play it on 1. And we really want to draw like a blue card this turn so we have Force up. I would love to turn off their cantrips with Chalice, though. That would be really clutch. And the thing is, if they force Chalice, then that's one less force they have to protect a Doomsday. I mean, it's very possible we just see, like, turn 1 Ponder. Yeah, exactly. We have Cavern, too, so if we pick up a Cursecatcher, that's also fine. The Lord, like I said, I would love to play, or I would love to pick up another blue card so that I could safely play the Silvergill Adept at some point, but I think we're playing Chalice this turn. If I have to pitch a card like this turn, it probably has to be Gil. Because I will need to start clocking them. The lower their life total is, the harder it is for them to actually like win with Doomsday, so. Okay, they do nothing this turn, that's fine with me. This is fine too because I can play the Silvergill safely now. This keeps them very far away from being able to do anything. So we have a pretty good position in this game now. Honestly, if I draw another blue card, I might not even play the Master, but we're doing okay at the moment. So we have double force here, so even if they go for like Doomsday plus force, that's not enough. Engineered explosives on 0. They want to blow up Chalice. Alright, so we are doing pretty good right now. One more creature, and we'll have a pretty good clock to kill them. We just kind of need them not to find another Doomsday. So this Null Rod is also looking a lot better knowing they have engineered explosives in their deck. I have no need to play the Otawara right now, because it might be helpful to keep it for Oracle, to bounce it in response to its trigger. That's pretty helpful. So they're going to 8 here. Okay, they're just thinning the deck, I guess. Alright. So if they don't have anything, like, they're basically just dead. There we go, that's 6. Alright. Fuck, that was close. We just barely got there. Alright, yeah, alright. I think we just run it back and pray. Alright, that's where we're at. On the draw, I might play Chalice on 0. I don't know, it depends what my hand looks like. There is definitely a lot of times where if you put the Chalice in 0, it means they can't cast LED and then crack it while Doomsday is on the stack. Or, I mean, what would they want to do here? There are, I don't, it's not like that. Oh, fuck, alright. No, okay, so what they do is they, like, play it, and then cycle, and then in response to the cycle, crack it. We mold to 6 cards. I'm gonna keep this and just hope. It has creatures, and it has a little bit of disruption, and I just have to hope that's enough. Okay. I mean, I could try to mulligan to force, I guess, but I don't know how good of an idea that is. I don't think that they're likely to just try to run it out there, so. I didn't do anything on turn 1, so that's interesting. As much as I would love to play this, I'm pretty sure I have to play this Chalice in 1. Our shields are going to be down. I mean, but there's... I don't know. There's not a lot we can do about it. We just have to draw Force. That's it. Hope that they just don't have what the pieces they need here. Interesting. The Force pitching Chain of Vapor. Sure. So, do they have it? Like... Alright, how's this? Are they just gonna, like, slam Doomsday here? It looks like they might just be slamming Doomsday. Maybe they have, like, another Force and that's it. Yeah, that's gonna do it. I don't have a Force. I don't think that there's anything that we can draw that's gonna stop us from dying to this either. Like, I'm pretty sure it's just over. They go to 9 here, but we can't kill them fast enough for this to matter. We have 7 Forces, and they have 4 Doomsdays, and did not find Force while they did find Doomsday, so what are you going to do? Though, if they don't win this turn, that is definitely possible that they go for Oracle and then they just don't have interaction, so... I don't think they showed us a Cavern of Souls, but, like... Maybe if we top deck Force here, there's hope. Alright, well... That's not the Force that we needed to top deck. It might buy us some time, though. Yeah, I know what, I actually regret playing the Vial because I do see days here, so it is possible they have days. They could have picked up days and now we can't pay for it. Yeah, that's my fault. That I probably was still losing anyway, but that was kind of a punt, so we could have had at least 1, maybe 2 more turns, depending upon what the next thing we drew was, so... Do not instinctively play the Aether Vial. That was a total blunder on our part. Could have paid for it. Damn it. Oh well, what are you gonna do? Alright, we're in the draw. Let's see. What do we got? Give me something. I think Doomsday is a little bit harder for us than some of the other combo decks just because they have more interaction. Like, they do have, like, Force of Will, Force of Negation, and Dazes, so... And they also have the ability to still, like, Dark Ritual win with Doomsday in turn 1 with backup, so... And, like, if they have the really good hands like that, there's very little you can do to stop it. It's just how it is. Alright. It's not, like, amazing, but I will keep this. Hope that this is fine. a lot of time there are a lot of matches where just having True-Name Nemesis is just a way to win the game, and if this is one of those matches, we will play Image and copy it, and that will be good. So Delta, oh, is this like another fucking Doomsday deck? No, this is Death Shadow. Okay. Thoughtseize. I can't imagine this is budget because this is MTGO, so the chances that this has to be on purpose, right? Like they would Underground Sea is not expensive online. So they would definitely have just played Underground Sea, so this makes me feel like this is Shadow. Death Shadow does exist online, and they definitely took True-Name, so that does make me feel like that is the case. However, they are going to get destroyed by this Wasteland, hopefully. Of course, they have another one, so what do we do? Okay, we play Cursecatchers, there's nothing else we can do, so... It's hard to imagine Death Shadow exists in a format with Swords to Plowshares, but it does. It's a thing. It happens. People have played it, and it does work, surprisingly, so... I think if they cast a Brainstorm, I would counter it here. Like, I'm not attacking them at this point, so... Okay, well, they just had Snuff out, I guess. So here comes Death Shadow on the way. They're at 9. Maybe they don't have a Shadow. It's possible. They're just digging for it. No, they have it. Okay. Okay, how do we do this here? I have to let them hit me at least once, I think. So I will play the Lord of Atlantis first and just hope they don't have like a fatal push. And then next turn I have to play Trickster unless I draw like a True-Name Nemesis. So no days, that's a good sign. Alright. I guess it's conceivable they could like have a Tamer Battle Rage or something, but I doubt it. Oh, Gurmag Angler? Okay. I guess that's okay. Like, I'm not dying to that thing, so... Does this just win? I think so. If they have nothing, like... I just Trickster tap this thing down, and then on my turn, Trickster tap the other one down, play Phantasmal Image, and that just kills them. But I can't let them attack me here, so... I need them to just not have removal is what it is, so... But yeah, like, if they don't have it, then we could just kill them, conceivably. No attack, okay. Oh, that is fucking ballsy. This means they have to have it, right? Like, there's no way they don't. Oh, no, they're dead. Okay, the opponent is... They have lost the game. We just copy... So, what happens here is we play Phantasmal Image, copy Lord of Atlantis, give it Island Walk, and then attack, and then... Yeah, that should do it. And I have Trickster in case they try to do something to be able to block. Alright, there we go. We beat Shadow. So, Chalice of the Void looks pretty good. Brazen Borrower also looks pretty good. What is not very good here? The hearse is fine. I don't think Image is actually where we want to be in this match because I think they do have like a fair bit of removal. Take a look real quick, but they should have like, you know, pushes and stuff. Yeah. Fatal Push, Snuff Outs, they do have like what, 3 copies of that, so this list only has 1 Fatal Push in the main deck. That's actually surprising. They do have like Murktide regions and stuff, so it's not great. Dress Down. They have a lot more removal to bring in, though. This is also a Plague Engineer deck, so probably Dismember is where we want to be. Against their deck, what is not very good? Probably Cursecatcher's not that amazing, or like Tideshaper's also not like that amazing. The advantage Tideshaper has is that it is a 2/2, so it won't die to a Plague Engineer. However, their curve is very low, so it is conceivable that Cursecatcher, it slows them down a little bit more sometimes. They might also have like Hymn to Turok, so that's another argument in favor of Cursecatcher. Chalice on 1 should hurt them fairly badly. Alright, I think we're inclined to do it like this. I don't think this match is too bad. It feels like this is a lot better for us in Legacy than it is in Modern. And I actually think I want to keep this. Because I can roll out Cursecatcher into Chalice, and that's pretty good. Or even, like, Cursecatcher into Unlicensed Hearse if we want to eat the graveyard so they can't, like, jam a Murktide. This is fine. I think this is a reasonable starting hand. The only thing that sucks is if they have, like, Plague Engineer, that's all. Yeah, they're just hurting their life total because they need to. Yeah, we play Cursecatcher. They might, like, snuff out this Cursecatcher. It's possible. Yeah. Otawara could end up being really good here if we get some more lands to go with it. Interesting. Oh, they really needed this Brainstorm. They were afraid that I would counter it. It's reasonable fear. Okay. Sure. Maybe they're only on 1 land, so they needed to get it desperately. Well, they found another land, so... Well, they're not going to Hymn us right now, at least. That's a plus. Unless they have, like, Snuff Out, and then they could play Hymn. Should not be great. But what are you going to do? Nothing. Okay, that's fine with me. I guess let's attack first. $15 and they lose 2, they go to 13. Yeah, I think that's okay. Okay, what about this Chalice now? No Death Shadows for you. Now I think next turn I'm going to try to jam the Hearse. Because I want to keep the graveyard clean so they can't easily just jam Gurmogs or anything, or like Murktides. They're at 5, they need to get to 7 for both of them. Oh, that's not good. That means they can play one of them now. Yikes. I hope that it's not Murktide. Well, it's... Oh, it's Gurmog. Okay, I mean, it's not great, but... This Otawara could... Oh, never mind. We have fucking Brazen Borrower. Life is Grand, isn't it? Okay. I guess we play the hearse first? Interesting. I think I also play this Chalice on 0 because they could have engineered explosives to get rid of it, and I don't want them doing that. I will play the Otawara here. There's a little bit of danger in playing Otawara in that they take Brazen Borrower away with like something, but I don't think that's gonna happen though. Like, I think I want it in play so that way if next turn we might be able to petty theft plus like play Silvergill Adept. I will do this on their upkeep. Just to play, like, it plays around days by having the Otawara in play. I guess I do this before they draw a card to help bounce, so. It's gonna hurt them to force this. So, if they have force, they have force, but that's still okay for us. So it means that, yeah, okay, they use the Force of Will here. They pitched Brazen Borrower, which, that can't have been a card they wanted to pitch right now. Okay, this is still fine, because I do have Merfolk Trickster to slow this Garmog down a little bit, too. So it's not that scary just yet, but, okay, so if they crack the fetch land here, then I can definitely hearse both the fetch and that, but otherwise I just have to get rid of the force. Okay. We're not doing too bad. Oh, that's good. Alright, oh, that's not gonna work out that well for you. You only have one card left, and I am definitely using Trickster in this Gurmag this turn. The odds that it is like another force here are not very high. And now, like, the hearse is getting to a point where it is able to really block the Gurmag, so. They drew a Wasteland, which doesn't really affect us at all. Okay. So we're in a pretty good spot here. Hearse is going to be a 6/6 at the end of this turn. If Gurmag attacks, I can, yeah, like, I could just crew this and then block and then make it a 6/6, so. There we go, we beat Death Shadow, so. I think Shadow's a much better match for us here than it is in Modern. They don't, I don't think they have quite as much removal here. Like, usually in Legacy, Shadow tends to be more just blue-black instead of, like, Grixis colors. So there's, like, no lightning bolts to worry about. You don't have to, like, Kroxa or that, but they do have, like, Force of Will, so you gotta pay attention to that. And, you know, they are playing Murktide instead as their, like, other threat. But I think we have the tools to defeat that sort of deck, so. It's not quite as scary as Delver of Secrets, because, like, Delver, they play 1-drops that will kill you by themselves, whereas, like, it takes too long for the Shadow to come into play a lot of times for you have to worry about it that much. Because they can't play it, like, right away, sometimes you get Chalice on 1 in play before they can really do much. Top 3 Legacy decks right now, probably would say... Well, definitely blue-red like the Delver Murktide deck is number 1 by far. Number 2 is probably the Jeskai Control deck. And then number 3, number 3 is hard. I don't know. I would probably pick like some sort of combo deck, like maybe Doomsday or Elves, something like that. This is a really interesting hand. We're up against Yorion, which means this is probably Death and Taxes, which means, and if it is Taxes, then like his hand is not that amazing. Chalice is very bad against Taxes. This is definitely a much better hand. We'll have to keep this and probably throw Wasteland away. Or actually, maybe we throw Tideshaper away. Because if this is Taxes, they will probably have their own Wasteland, and we might need this mana. Alright, let's see, what are the most played stuff? Yeah. So blue-red, yeah, like the Delver deck is definitely like 16%. The Jeskai deck is like 5%. Elves is like 5%. Doomsday's only like 2%, but like the other 5% decks look like the Echo of Eon's like 8 cast decks. Like the artifact combo decks are both they're around like 5%, like Dark Depths is around 5%. Yeah, like what Taxes is 5%, so like you kind of get an idea of like the distance between like the first deck and then like, you know, the other decks are it's pretty far. I feel like the correct thing for me to do is get rid of a Tideshaper here. Other than Delver, though, like, there's a pretty good balance of decks right now, so... I think that I'm just going to play the island and pass, because I don't... There's a possibility I might want to turn whatever land they play into an island with this. Tundra. Okay, so... Interesting. So I'm definitely just going to Wasteland Tundra. So this looks like this could be... Well, there's a couple different decks this could be right now. Alright, Aether Vial. This could be like Esper Vial. And if it is, like, that's very bad for us. Elves is definitely like... It's definitely like one of the top 5. It's popular. It's very strong. Interesting. I guess this could also be like Uro deck. Like I think there are like Yorion Uro piles. They didn't do anything on turn 1 though, which is kind of sus. Sure, I'll show them a Lord. Brainstorm, okay. I had to have just drawn this, so like maybe their hand is just a little bit clunk. This kind of makes me feel like because they didn't do anything in their first turn, I don't know. They did not have this in turn 1, and they didn't have like a ponder either, so it's not clear. I still don't think this tells us enough. But I'm definitely going to try racing it and hope that it's fast enough, so. We could see Swords to Plowshares here. I think it's very likely we see Swords. I think because it's like, well, I think because it's likely we see Swords, I might want to play the Cursecatcher instead of a Lord right now. Because now they won't be able to Swords the Lord of Atlantis here. So their options are going to be take 6 damage or like, yeah, okay, this is what I was concerned about. So now the Lord can come in off the vial. They might have another swords here too, but what are you going to do? I would much prefer them to waste swords on that. Okay, this is the deck that I was afraid that it was. This is a really, really bad deck for us. This deck has a lot of creatures that, like, once they get their curve going, it is almost impossible for us to win this match. There's a ton of, like, super dangerous threats here, but right now we're on a curve where we can probably beat them, but only because they stumbled on their mana quickly, so... I think here I'm just going to Vial in a Lord and try to kill them. They just gave up. Okay. Alright. So this deck, some of the nonsense that it plays, just so you have an idea here. Yeah, they have Meddling Mage. They play stuff like, they do have Plague Engineers, and they have Recruiter of the Guards to actually search for Plague Engineer, which is really bad. They have, like, Baleful Strixes, Gilded Drakes. Gilded Drake is really dangerous. Skyclave Apparition. What's the other one? Extraction Specialist, which can reanimate cards. Oh, fuck. Yeah, that's a new one. Alright. Yeah, like... they have a lot of like really like toolboxy kind of creatures, and we don't have a lot of good stuff to deal with it. I don't think that I want Chalice against this deck. Like, basically the only thing it's going to hit is like Aether Vial, Force of Will, and Swords to Plowshares. I would much rather have Dismember and like Brazen Borrower. I have to take out one more card. Yeah, it's gonna be really hard. How afraid of the graveyard do I have to be? Is this like extraction guy something that everyone's playing, or is that just like one person? Maybe not that afraid. I feel like in general Hearst is not that good against them, so it's probably fine to cut it. Yeah, this is a very value-oriented deck, and it is a very creature-oriented deck. It's like, imagine Modern Humans, except it's like way, way stronger, because they don't have as many like Lord kind of effect, but they have like all the same sort of like taxi and interactive sort of effects. It's rough, and I don't know if all of them play it, but I know like there is a creature. I think it's Peacekeeper sometimes. They play that, and you just can't attack them anymore, which is fucking horrendous. Alright, we'll just have to do it like this and hope. They did concede. They got stuck with one land in a hand they couldn't do anything with, and then we wastelanded them and set them back a little bit, so we had time to, like, establish a board before they got on. So, they did give up game 1 for that reason. But to be perfectly honest, like, they have very good chances in games 2 and 3. Obviously, we can't keep that. I think we have to keep this. And I don't believe they're a Wasteland deck, but I should double check that. No, it doesn't look like they're Wastelandy. They have some basics though, like they can fetch out basics, so Wasteland is not immensely useful, but sometimes it helps because they can just randomly have like Tundra or Cavern of Souls in like their opening hand, so. They showed us Meddling Mage, so we knew about that. And we know about Urion, obviously. Like, and Swords to Plowshare, so like I'm confident that we know what this deck is. I think we're just supposed to put Otawara on the bottom here. And I guess we just have to hope we can kind of do the same thing again to them. Just like Scumbag mana screw them. And if they're smart, they will get a basic here. Oh, they got Tropical Island? Ooh, there's birds. That's no bueno. You're gonna have a 3-drop in turn 3? Oh, that's not really ideal. Well, I have to do this. They're gonna accelerate too fast otherwise, so... Okay, they play Vial, that's sort of okay. We have to play Vial here. Let's just hope that killing Tropical Island slows them down enough. So if their hand is full of 3-drops, like, it's possible that we are okay here. Which it looks like it might be. They did not have another land, so... Suddenly, like, this doesn't look too bad. And I think what I might do here is just Merfolk Trickster this birds in their upkeep. To just keep them from getting the 3 mana, because that looks like that's the critical number for them right now. And then next turn, like, could potentially play, like, Master plus Cursecatcher or something like that. I don't know, it's hard, because we don't know if they're on, like, Plague Engineer or if they're on, like, Swords to Plowshares. They could have both, and if they have both, that's really bad. They did find the land, so if we could pick up Wasteland here, that would also be huge. That is helpful. Alright. I don't want to put this True-Name in play until I have a Plague Engineer. Or, I mean, a Master of the Pearl Trident out. Because otherwise, like, I do risk walking into Engineer and then just losing my True-Name. It does not look like they have a sword, so that definitely increases the chance that they're on Engineer. Oh, they might just fucking combo kill us, too. Like, that is also possible. Yeah, if they have the Black Chain, they could just be going for a win like that. And they found another mana. Oof, that's not great. Recruiter of the Guard. Okay, this looks like Engineer's coming out. So again, not ideal. They're very careful not to get that island, though, so... They know. Spellseeker. Oh, God. No, okay, they got Spellseeker because they're gonna go for the win with this thing. Alright, I see. Alright, well, we need, like, what? Force of Will, basically. Or that's gonna kill us. I don't think that's enough. Can play another Cursecatcher and Master of the Pearl Trident, but that basically just means they win, right? So... Yeah, because they can just get Chain of Smog and we're dead. Alright, well, I mean, we've kind of lost to it, so it doesn't really matter. They did find it here, so... I don't know. The best we can hope for is that they just don't do it. Just try. Sure. Yeah, they put in Spellseeker. Oh, they have Skyclave Apparition. That's even worse. Alright. It doesn't matter, right? Because they have 4 mana here, so... 2 Cursecatchers wasn't enough anyway. This turn, they can definitely just Violent Spellseeker and get us. And they know the coast is clear. They were like 1,000% going to do it anyway. Like, Vial does not get ticked up here. There's no way. Yeah. They have to just go for it. Yep. There's the Spellseeker. There's the Chain of Smog. All right. Yeah, I mean, it is a combo. Like, it does a thing, so... I mean, if we had, like, Dismember, you know, it would be really great because we just Dismember this in response and then it does nothing, basically. So... I mean, there's no reason for them to be hesitating. They should just go for it. There's nothing I can possibly have that doesn't make this work. Ephemerate? Okay. Why are they doing this? I don't understand what the point of that was. They are targeting themselves. Alright. They know how it works. So, you know what? Alright, we'll let them do it a little bit so you can get the idea and see it. Because this is the first time I think we've seen this on this channel. So, effectively what happens is they discard 2 cards and they can, yeah, because they targeted themselves, they can copy it. And then they're just going to drain me for 1 life every time they copy it. So they just infinitely copy it because of the Witherbloom. So, it's a pretty cool combo. It does a thing. So, yeah, we have Borrower and we have Dismember to sort of interact with it. Other than that, like, we don't really have a lot. I think we just have to, you know, hope that that doesn't happen again, that's all. And that was a pretty insane draw from them, so... If we have a good hand here, then maybe we can race them again. It would be nice. That's not going to do it. I mean, I guess this is going to have to work. It's not amazing, but we put Trickster in the bottom, and it's going to work. Yeah, well, they have to throw away their entire hand to do it, so I guess that's why they cast the Ephemerate, just in case I did have something that, like, countered it. They rolled a 5? Okay, maybe this is going to work out here. I play Cursecatcher, and if they cast a Brainstorm, I will 1000% counter their Brainstorm with this Cursecatcher. Otherwise, I'm probably playing Silvergill Adept this turn. 4 cards here? Alright, I guess. I gotta get this out so I can actually, like... Alright, that's sort of fine. I can effectively use my Force of Will if I have to now. The problem is, like, I couldn't force anything and then still be able to cast the Silvergill. So... Like, they have to get a basic here, right? Sure. I guess we cast the Aether Vial off the Wasteland because they won't do it until their turn otherwise, so this way we can keep up Trickster and Force if we need to. There's like no way that we're playing Trickster here, but we may as well represent it. Because if they get non-basics in order to try casting something, I can force it and then maybe Wasteland them, but it looks like they're getting basics. They're careful. Okay. No, they just put Urion in hand. Okay, that's pretty safe. Can't really cast this thing yet. This is not going very well for us. We need more creatures badly. Like, True-Name would be, like, top tier right now. That is not fucking helping. I mean, I guess, like... No, we can't even hardcast Force of Will next turn. Like, shit, this is not great. I don't know what to do. We're in trouble. They're getting all basics here. We're just, like, mana flooding out really hard. This is a bad match. That's all I can really say. Like, it is a very creature-heavy match, and it's not one that we're very well equipped to deal with. They definitely have stuff like Skyclave Apparition online right now, so... I still can't cast the goddamn Force of Will. Alright, attacking here is really just terrible, so I just can't. Because they can just, like, Vial and Skyclave and I'm sunk. We drew 6 lands, like, this game. I don't know what else I can say. We mulligan to 6, draw 6 lands is not going to be a victory against, like, almost any deck, so... Jeez. I don't like that, but, like, that there's far more dangerous things for me to be worried about, so... I mean, this is just random. That just happens sometimes, so... You know, they're just keeping that Vial in 3 because they're very afraid of what happens if we draw, like, an important creature. I think that I actually want to Vial this one. Oh, I don't know. That's hard to say. If I cast it off of mana, I can't use the Force of Will with mana here, so I think that I want to Vial it in. So if I draw an island, at least I can use Force of Will off of the island. Okay. I'm very, very vulnerable to Plague Engineer. If they have, like, Recruiter of the Guard, we're just dead. They've kept it on 3, though, and they're, like, very intentionally not ticking it up, but they're obviously saving something. So, like, maybe they have, like, a Skyclave that they just don't want to burn yet, so... I guess if they cast Urion... Oh, well, that's bad. I have to force that. Teferi Time Raveler is not a choice. Like, that has to get countered. Let's kill the Tundra, I guess. Okay, I mean, it does a thing, I guess. I'm gonna pick Illusion for this one, just on the off chance that we draw Phantasmal Image. Alright. Let's send in a Silvergill and see what happens. Taking 2 damage. Okay, they're not afraid. Our best hope is that they just hardcast Urion and they just don't have... Like, their last card is just nothing. It's possible. Like, they might not have anything in their hand. Like, they could just be top-decking lands and, like, that's it. So, who knows? Maybe. I can't have too many more basics left. It looks like they're going to hardcast Urion here. And this is definitely where we counter this. Yeah, it is very possible both of us are just flying. Alright, their last card was Birds of Paradise. Okay. Actually, that's not too bad. That means they have nothing. So, like, if they just top deck nothing, we could actually come back and win this game. Alright, leave Vial on 2. That's fine with me. I think here I just, tap down Charming Prince and attack for 5. Force of Will, whatever the next thing they play is. Hopefully they don't draw a 3-drop, because that's the only thing I can't really deal with. But this gives us lines to win next turn. Alright. If they draw a land, like, we're in very good position to win. But they do have a lot of draws that just, like, murder us on the spot. Well, I'm definitely forcing that. Alright. They can't really attack here, so... Alright. I guess a Lord wins, like another Trickster, a Borrower, Otawara wins. It's a lot of stuff that wins. It's not one of them. Okay, well, they have to do something this turn or they die, so... They're just... Yeah, so they blocked like that, so that way if they draw Plague Engineer, that is their out now. So, land means we win. Brainstorm, okay, sure. They get to look at the top 3 for something. They have to find Plague Engineer now. It's the only way they can actually win the game here, so... Plague Engineer does it anything short of that? Probably not. So we are attacking for 5. They concede. All right, they missed. Oh my god, we snuck that one out. That is amazing. All right, I mean, yeah. Look, we got unlucky with like 2 combo matches, but otherwise, like everything kind of went the way it needed to. So I don't know. Like this probably would be fine. Like. The list is, like, really tight enough where it's at a power level where you could probably tweak 1 or 2 cards and it's not going to make a huge difference. If we didn't have Hex Catcher on the way, I would probably test more with Phantasmal Image in this configuration. But, I mean, for the most part, like, this list it's pretty good. Like, the shell is very strong, so... our losses were to Reanimator and to, fuck it, what was it? I think it was... I want to say it was another combo deck, I think. I don't even remember. So we beat the Vial deck. My god, like, I was not even focused. Oh, Doomsday. Doomsday was the other one we lost to, so. And I mean, Doomsday and Reanimator are both very winnable matches for this 75, so it's not a huge concern. So what were the other 2 decks that we beat? We beat Death Shadow, and there was one other deck. The Jeskai control deck. Yeah, so there you go. So yeah, you know, it was a pretty good league, pretty representative, I would say. Like you'll come across a few kind of, you know, we saw some meta decks, like we saw Doomsday, we saw like Jeskai, and I mean Reanimator's like always kind of on the fringes, like. It's there. It doesn't really go away ever. And then sometimes you'll just see like random decks in Legacy, you know, like the Aether Vial deck and the Death Shadow deck. They're not like unplayable by any means. They're just they're probably in like that tier 2 area, but the thing is like the tier difference in Legacy is a lot smaller than it is in Modern, so like there's a lot more stuff. Like it might not necessarily be tier 1, but it's like this deck is not a tier 1 deck. But it is still pretty close to, like, you know, where it needs to be in order to be competitive in the format. And a lot of those decks fall into that category, so it's not a dig on any deck or anything like that. Like Legacy, like it's closer together. The only deck that's like far and away better than everything else is the blue-red Murktide deck. That's it. Like, and you can't argue against that because it's like fucking 16% of the metagame right now, whereas like second place is like 5%. So basically the same deal as Modern, where like Murktide is like almost the same 75 in Modern and is just doing the same stupid bullshit. So what are you gonna do? until they do something about it, like maybe Expressive Iteration is going to get hit in like both Modern and Legacy at some point. I mean, Modern could definitely see stuff like Ragavan go away, or maybe Murktide could go away. Like, it's difficult to really get rid of the problem because a lot of it comes back to like the core shell of it, and like every single card they play, especially now, so individually powerful that just getting rid of one of them probably doesn't hurt the deck very much. Like, you get rid of Murktide, like, okay, the deck can still very easily win without Murktide. Like, if they needed to, they could adopt Grixis and play like Tombstalker or Gurmag Angler, or even like go play Tarmogoyf if they want to go green or something. Like, there are options. They could just like, play more threats like maybe Young Pyromancer or some nonsense like that. Like, both Delver and Dragon's Rage Channeler are still very powerful one-drops they can just get away with, so yeah, they could go back to like True-Name Nemesis. There are options for the deck. They don't need Murktide. Like, there's no one card in that deck that they are absolutely critically reliant upon, such that if you ban it, it's going to lose 10%. That's just not going to happen. You have to ban multiple cards if you want to bring it back down to earth, and like, I don't think that Wizards is going to do that in Legacy. They might in Modern, where I could see them do stuff like ban, Expressive Iteration and ban like Ragavan or something like that. But they already banned Ragavan from here, so like, they've shown that they're taking a somewhat cautious approach to Legacy, and they only want to deal with it like one card at a time. So I don't know. But I gotta be perfectly honest, like, even still, I don't think the format is like in dire need of like bans or anything. I enjoy my experience in Legacy right now much more than like any other format. So even if they don't do anything, I would still say that like Legacy is still more fun than Modern is and probably will be for the rest of the year. Yeah, Ren and 6 is also a huge problem in Modern, and guess what? Ren and 6 is not legal in Legacy anymore because of Wasteland. So another bonus for this form. It's like the worst defenders from like Modern Horizon sets, like Ragavan and Ren and 6. They're not here. They don't exist in this format, which is great. So I'm very happy to play Legacy at any point. But also, we're gonna definitely see a huge uptick in our deck once we get the Hex Catcher. And here's the kicker: like, the matches we lost, like, Hex Catcher is gonna help against them, especially like Doomsday, because once you get Hex Catcher in play, like, that is like multiple force spikes they now have to play around too, and it just like drags the game out to a point where you can stabilize and just like get some more hate cards in play, and it just becomes a wall they can't overcome. So it puts a lot more pressure in them to go for like the turn one plays with like Dark Ritual, Doomsday, hope you don't have a force, and more like, with 7 forces in the deck, like, most of the time we should have a force, and like the odds that they're gonna have exactly like land, ritual, Doomsday, force, blue card in any given hand they keep are not very high. So yeah, and that's I think that's it's gonna be a really big pickup for the deck. So right now, I think we were talking about cutting 2 Lord of Atlantis and like maybe, I think, yeah, we said maybe like a Tide Shaper. So we already cut like some of these cards for the Phantasmal Images here. So these 2 cards will be Hex Catchers, and probably cut 1 more Lord for a 3rd Hex Catcher. That might be a good place to start. Maybe we'll see about if we want the 4th one. Maybe the Unlicensed Hearses can come out, and it could just be that Hex Catcher is that good where we go back up to like, 3 Lords, and then we just play 4 Hex Catchers and then have 11 Lords in the deck. That's definitely reasonable. There'll be a lot of options and a lot of testing to do with the card for sure. I'm very excited. I will say though, if you were looking to like get Hex Catchers, unless you absolutely need them right away, give it some time, because pre-orders are already like $10 for that card. It's a rare, all right? There are going to be a lot of the set boosters and collector boosters opened, so the price is going to come down. It's a rare, all right? It's not a fucking mythic. It is a rare, and rares in like standard sets are not expensive, especially when people are chasing after like tabernacles and moats and the stupid collector boosters. So give it like a week or 2 at least. You'll see the price come down significantly. I made that mistake with Svaelun. I think I spent like far more money on Svaelund than I probably should have, but I'm still okay with that because I love my full art Svaelunds, but at the same time, like, patience definitely could have rewarded me a little bit better, and it is definitely going to be the same case with this. So, JK Torborg, yes! We went 3-2 with our list. We lost to Doomsday, and we lost to Reanimator, so it's like, that's whatever. We beat Aether Vial, which is like a huge steal for us. Yeah, we beat the Jeskai control deck, and then and then we beat Death Shadow, so that was cool. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember exactly how much I spent for Svaelund. I think it was somewhere between like $20 and $30. So yeah, it's not great. Oh, Merfolk is a fucking great deck in Legacy. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Like, we've had lots of good success with this. We've had multiple 5-0s on this channel, and I don't even play it that often here. So that's, yeah, the rec, like, it's been a very, very profitable deck to play this year. You know, Pixel Tamer, he took down, like, you know, split the finals of the Puget Battle Sound like paper tournament, which was they had like over 100 players at that. So it's yeah, it's strong, and it's definitely got a lot of teeth, and it's gonna get a lot stronger with the Hex Catcher. So I'm excited to test that. Looking forward to it. But yeah, we were just discussing, like, probably don't buy the Hex Catchers in paper right away. Let the people pay the impatience tax. So if you can wait, you probably should. So unless you have a tournament that's happening like right away and you need the cards like the next day, I would give it like a week or two at the very least. Because again, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be ripping open those collector boosters trying to get the legend stuff, and the collector boosters come with lots and lots of rares in them, so there will be many Hex Catchers opened through that. Yeah, and it is going to be really good in Modern. Hex Catcher is going to be good in every format. We probably will even go back. We'll play some Pioneer because both the Mono Blue Devotion and like the Simic Merfolk deck will probably be like better off for having Hex Catcher as a part of it. So I would expect to see that we'll play some Pioneer with that card too. And I mean, if you're playing in Historic, like, that card is also going to be really good there. So yeah, Merfolk's got a lot going on for it for the next few weeks. There's going to be a lot of tests to be done in a lot of formats. So yeah, it'll be fun times. So all right, well, that's all we're doing for today. It's yeah, it's a oh yeah, if you're watching this now, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a stream with low energy videos. We're going to be watching a bunch of random nonsense, and I think we're doing drinking games of some kind. So probably around 5:30 Eastern time tomorrow. I will post a link on Twitter when I'm doing that. So it's that should be cool. But otherwise, that's all we've got for now. So I guess we probably should go and see if anybody's like doing stuff. I don't know. What let's I don't know. Let's go and see who's doing fun thing. We'll go and check it out. Oh my god, I have no idea what's going on. Who is doing something fun? I see like a lot of like limited going on at the moment. People are playing lots of Cubit, so I don't know. We'll go join the Legacy pit. Why not? That seems like I think they're playing some Paper Legacy right now, probably. So all right, we'll do that. Everybody, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. See you next time.